When Carolyn Bryant made her testimony, I was not in the courtroom. They had me in another room. They didn't want me influenced by the witness, I guess. But when I heard the story, I knew for two reasons that that was a lie. Number one, Emmett's speech impediment under stress would not allow him to get these things out. And number two, the respect that I had put into him for womankind and for mankind, he just wouldn't come off that way. When I saw the antics that were going on in the courtroom, I could tell that everything was against us. And when the jury retired to render their verdict, I noticed that the black people who were lining the walls and the backs of the room, they were quietly leaving the courtroom. And I knew then that they knew we were not going to get a guilty verdict. And I said to my party, it's time for us to go. Congressman Diggs said to me, and miss the verdict? I said, this is one you don't want to hear. The verdict is not guilty. To satisfy me, they agreed to leave. And I guess about 45 minutes away from the courtroom, the verdict came in, not guilty.
How do you folks feel now that it's all over? Roy, how about you?
I'm just glad it's over with.
J.W.?
I am too.
Mrs. Bryant,
Feel fine.
how about you, Mrs. Milam? Did you expect this verdict?
Well, I was hoping for it.
Well, the whole trial was just a farce, but the verdict was the one that I had expected to be given.
Do you feel that all the witnesses were brought into the case?
No, two of the witnesses were being held in protective custody in Sheriff Strider's jail in Charleston.
My first reaction when I saw that they come in and said not guilty was unbelief, anger, revenge. And one of the reasons that, I went back home was we had two guns. I just had the idea, hey, we could fight it out. My only problem was there was no gun for me. But I wanted revenge. I carried a chip on my shoulder for many years.
It was obvious that they had no trouble deciding that they were to let these men go free. And I later heard that, in fact, the reason it even took an hour, or whatever hour so it took, was that they simply were trying to be correct about the way they delivered their answer. But the answer was a foregone conclusion.
And then when they interviewed the foreman of the jury, he said, it wouldn't have taken us that long, but they told us to make it look good. So we had some soda pop and beer and waited a little while, and then we came back with our verdict.
You never expect anything but for them to be acquitted, because that's Mississippi during that time.
When they acquitted Marlin and Bryant, it crushed my dad. He just couldn't take it anymore. He came home that day and said, boys, we got to leave. Can't stay here. Basically, we had no law back in '55 in relation to black and white killing each other.
Mr. Wright, the trial has been over for a week now. How do you feel about it after thinking it over?
I don't have any issue.
Were you surprised, or did you expect the verdict of acquittal?
I was thinking going just like it went.
You weren't surprised with the verdict?
It didn't surprise me.
When did you come to Chicago?
Monday night.
Why did you leave Mississippi, Mr. Wright?
Well, after Friday night, those men came to my house, but I just wasn't satisfied no more there. I just got willing and ready to leave, and I left this as quick as I could.
Men came to your house?
Friday night, 2.
What did they say?
Well, I've gone to bed, and I got restless through the night, and I got up and got in my car and went out to the church and stayed all night in the car. And a friend of mine told me that he was passing going home, said the car drove up in my yard, and 2 white men was in it. And they got out with flashlights, just flashing all around the house, looking around the house. Of course, I didn't know anything about it, but I was just got restless through the night. And the next morning, and I got up and went up to the house and just disposed of the crop little I had there, and I just got in ready to leave right now. And I just
you go back for the kidnap trial.
So I'll go back to that. I promised the sheriff I'll be back, and so if I leave, I'm going back. But after then, I'm through with Mississippi forever and ever.
There are 2 kidnapping statutes in Mississippi. One carries a 10-year maximum in the state penitentiary. The other statute, which is patterned more or less after the federal Lindbergh statute, that we commonly refer to it, carries a maximum of death sentence. And the grand jury will be advised of the existence and of the terms of both statutes, and it will be their province to determine which, if either, of the statutes that they choose to indict.
That me and Mr. Moore, right, we went there, we didn't sit down at the kidnapping trial. We saw them at the regular trial, but not at the kidnapping trial. They wasn't even there.
Crazy.
And that point, how long that last? No more than 15, 20 minutes. What? We was out of there.
The LeFlore County, Mississippi grand jury at Greenwood adjourned just a short while ago and did not return an indictment in the Emmett Till kidnapping case. That's the only comment I'm authorized to make at this time.
You got him on kidnapping. You're looking at him. How can you say not guilty?
I'm Sidney Carlton of Sumner, Mississippi, one of the lawyers for J.W. Milam and Roy Bryant. Represented them in the murder trial recently in Sumner, Mississippi. I've just received information that the grand jury of LeFlore County returned no true bill against them with the charge of kidnapping of Emmett Till in LeFlore County. Frankly, I think that this is a result primarily of the interference in Mississippi and Mississippi affairs by outside interests, and a result of the NAACP and their activities in trying to make something big out of just an ordinary criminal affair in Mississippi. After the trial some 5 or 6 weeks ago now, we are still receiving in the Daily Mail threatening letters from all over the United States saying that justice was not done when no fair-minded jury in New York, Chicago, Detroit, San Francisco, or anywhere else would have convicted these 2 men on the scanty evidence which was produced.